And so one of the things that I liked about that is it was like almost like a sales philosophy when it comes to new leads too. So how does that inventory control on new leads, how did that manifest as your career grew into other verticals?
Yeah, so FIFO means, the hottest products. We're the first ones out with the products. We're the first ones on the streets as salespeople. We're the first ones selling it to the stores. And it's the first thing out of the store. So it's like rapid in and out. And how it translates to salespeople right now, as soon as the lead comes in, you got to be the first one on it. And you got to be the first one to submit it and the first one to close it. The best way to get rid of your credit card debts is definitely, if you have a home, is to consolidate it into the mortgage, which is a good debt, like taking bad cholesterol, making it good cholesterol. You combine it into the mortgage over 360 months, 30 years. That $2,000 American Express payment I was just telling you, it turns into a $200 payment on a mortgage.
Welcome to another episode of the Leads to Deals podcast, where we talk about everything from leads to deals, and everything we talk about leads to deals. This podcast is brought to you by LamasuLeads.com, the industry's first enterprise level outbound lead gen service. If you need outbound leads for anything real estate, visit LamasuLeads.com. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by a relentless sales savage, a young man actually born in Dubai, and from slinging ice cream off a truck in the streets of Detroit to pushing hundreds of millions in funded loans as a Rocket Mortgage's top banker. Our guest is the founder of Aces Academy and Taker's Brokerage. He's trained literally thousands of salespeople to pitch harder, follow up faster, and dominate huddles like it's fourth and goal. He's even got the nickname the comeback coach for a reason. We're going to talk sales scripts, sales psychologies, and real numbers. And if you've ever wondered whether sales was like greatness or it was just born in, I want you to stay locked in. It's going to be a tactics first conversation. I don't want you to miss it. Welcome to the podcast, Ali Ace Charafeddine.
Hey, my man, Scotty to Adi.
Come on, baby. Brother? Thank you for coming out.
Good. I found my match when I met you. I'm like, man, this guy is running his shit right.
Oh, man.
I don't say that often either.
Dude, it means a lot. It means a lot. And I live in a bubble, kind of like, I didn't know about you until you entered my ecosystem. And as soon as I saw it, I said, dude, that energy, I love watching you pitch training. I love watching you pitch sales. And without sounding like too pre-planned, because it is, though, I've been doing a lot of diligence on you. And I looked at your background. Tell people what FIFO is, first in, first out, how that impacts your sales philosophy, because I think that's what me and you connect a lot on.
Yeah, so FIFO was a cell phone accessory company that we started, in early 2000s. I don't know our demographics as far as people listening, but, nowadays you find cell phone accessories everywhere. You find them at CVS, you find them at the doctor's office, you find them at the gas stations. Well, back in 2005, Scotty probably remembers this. If you needed a cell phone charger, you had to go to a cell phone store. That's the only place you could find it at. And we had a couple of cell phone stores. There was Wireless Toys, it was called at the time. And Wireless Toys went bankrupt. So we had, an option to either scrap the stuff or sell it and lose a bunch of money. Or we came up with an idea. We're like, hey, why don't we sell these to C-stores, gas stations, gift stores in the hotels, chains, 7-Elevens, They didn't have this at the time. As a matter of fact, I used to go to gas stations and my dad's Explorer truck, they come in with a big display on my shoulder and drop it in there. I'm like, yeah, I got cell phone chargers, man. I sell it to you for $5. You sell it for 10. I come every month, fill it up for you. They're like, this ain't a cell phone store. Get out of my gas station. We don't sell that kind of shit here. And now, 15, 25 years later, it's everywhere, right? So we actually started that. We started the concept of chargers inside C-stores. And that really built me up, because I tell people all the time, you think it's hard to sell behind a phone? Try selling behind a bulletproof glass. When you got to knock try to get behind. If they let you behind the counter, that's like, oh, it's a hot one. And if they make you talk to them through the bulletproof glass like an idiot, that's a cold one, right? So that was the selling I was doing. And then, that evolved over time. Like within 90 days, 120 days, I was splitting my mom's lasagna with the owner in his microwave and just half of my lasagna with him and eating in the back, dropping $1,000 orders,
Dude, I love it. So
And, we brought salespeople in, and we went from Michigan to Ohio, Indiana. We took over US. We went into Europe. We got every single hotel in Las Vegas. You could find FIFO inside of there. That was all the shit that, the hard work we started.
Dude, there was a point where I would have been invited to be a seed contributor to a guy who sold these disposable batteries for like chargers for cell phones.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of big in some of these little places, but it never blew up the way I thought it was going to blow up. It never really got like super mainstream attraction because he's like, dude, I got the patent. All I need is X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we're already in the stores. But it's kind of that same concept. They were going to all these gas stations, setting it up, consignment effectively, and then letting them fly.
Yeah. No, we didn't do any consignment.
Oh, money.
I don't like consignment. We need that cold cash up front. You got to sell the whole deal.
So, but FIFO means first in, first out, right? And so one of the things that I liked about that is it was like almost like a sales philosophy when it comes to new leads too. So how does that inventory control on new leads? How did that manifest as your career grew into other verticals?
Yeah, so FIFO means, the hottest products. We're the first ones out with the product. We're the first ones on the streets as salespeople. We're the first ones selling it to the stores. And it's the first thing out of the store. So it's like rapid in and out. And how it translates to salespeople right now, as soon as the lead comes in, you got to be the first one on it. And you got to be the first one to submit it and the first one to close it. And then beyond one. So I think there's a certain speed aspect when it comes to sales. Number one, you got to want to be up early. You got to want to be there first. And if you don't really want to be there first, or you don't understand why you should be there first, that's probably your first issue. Because if you're in sales, you got to be a speed hawk. You got to love speed. And you got to be like, licking your chops in the morning when you're at 7:59 a.m. looking at that thing till it hits 8, right? Till it hits 9 if you're in Florida, right? Like, you got to be all over that. So
yeah, I had a guy this morning. We had a brand new PPC lead come in, and it was at 7:16. And I was talking about it in our morning huddle this morning. He was like, I was like, hey, I'm gonna have you go out and call him. He was like, should I just wait till after the training to go call him? I'm like, no, bro, you got to go like now. Like, he's like, it's not too early. I'm like, brother, they filled out the form at 7:16. They were in such an emotional distress at that exact moment. This is the point. We must strike and strike now. We can catch you up later on the training. And that's what I thought about your mentality with this first in, first out. It's like, okay, new lead comes in, we attack. I'm curious, when you have a guy with pipeline, what do you expect him to kind of do when his first like number of phone calls? Is he following up first, or is he attacking the brand new leads that came in overnight or before he picked up the phone? Where do you encourage them to start?
Yeah, man. We talk about it too much. My people are probably sick of me talking about it. We call it the rituals, right? And the rituals go new leads. And when I say new leads, I mean double tap, text, custom voicemail, and throw in a fucking email at the same time. So new leads first, double tap, then your hot leads, then your warm leads, then your cold leads, then your in-process leads. Then you re-rotate that again. Afternoon round, new leads, hot leads, warm, cold, and process. Then you go evening round, new leads, hot leads, warm leads, cold leads, and process leads. And you got to go 3 rounds. Not everybody could go 3 rounds. Some people barely get through the first round. For me, it's like machine mode, right? First round, second round, third round. The only time I'm not getting through 3 rounds is when I have a lot of deals, and that's a good fucking problem to have. Amen. If you're writing a lot of deals and you're staying on the phone, it's like, I don't care about your rituals, your round. You got production, you could put it down my throat like a watermelon, and you ain't hear shit from me. I tell people all the time, look, I talk about effort. I talk about, rituals. I talk about dials. But if you got production, you have the right to tell me, Ace, look at my numbers. I don't need to hear shit from you. Salute. You're right. You got 3 deals today. Do whatever the fuck you want. Go get a haircut at 3:00.
Yeah, as a guy who, and you probably deal with this too. I have my office. We have our sales side and we have our HR side and the admin side. That concept of, dude, he's producing. Like, fuck, I don't give a shit if he leaves 2 hours early. He's number one on the track. If he says he wants to go do this, I'm gonna let him go. But it's not part of the et cetera, et cetera. So I'm 100% in alignment. Before we go so much down to systemization, because I think that's what you bring a lot to anybody out there. If you're in sales and you're curious about like that process and how to systemize and create this machine, that's what this combo's for. But I want to give some people some context on you, Ace. I know that you're a sales expert now, but you got into the mortgage space with what? Quicken Loans or Rocket Mortgage back in the day. Can you just give us that snapshot on how you got into this vertical?
Yeah, so fast forward, 10 years building the accessory business, the FIFO accessories, which turned into sunglasses and light up shirts. We built a whole catalog through the 10 years, but we sold that business and I went to Quicken Loans, which is Rocket now, and it was selling mortgages over the phone. And I knew nothing about mortgages, but I did know something. I like talking to people. I'm good at talking to people. Like every single gas station owner was my best friend. I got a phone book of 2,000 of them that'll answer my calls at any time. I built long lasting relationships. So when I got to the floor at Quicken Loans, I was just a new dog, not knowing nothing, but selling everything, whether it qualified or not. I was figuring it out late. I was just selling, because I'm like, look, if you're in sales, right? We talk about one of the best things you could do to make money, proven is sales. But then when you're in sales, what's the trifecta? The best thing you could sell in sales, other than health or life, which you can't really control that, right? I know they got people now trying to lift till they're 120, 130, doing all this fucking shit. I'm not talking about any of that. The number one thing you could sell is cash. Real estate is cash, really, like, what's a better feeling than opening up the keys to your new home for the first time? And what's a better feeling than me giving you $60,000 cash out in 30 days or in 5 days now with some of our lenders, So you're selling the best of the best. You're selling cash. And I understood that because I'm like, man, I grew up, broke and struggling. And I seen what money did to me in my life. And I'm just selling that to people. Like, when I get you this cash, what are you going to do with it? And after you pay off these debts, you should get into real estate. You should do this. So I was more advising people and making friendships. And I started closing 25, like it's right behind me. I still got them here. If you look at these ones,
Look at those.
like if you look at these on the bottom, you're like, nobody did this shit at Rocket. Well, like every single month, 54 closings, 10 million in 1 month, and then the next month, 50 closings, 9.4 million. Every single month I'd get one of these. People are like, who the fuck is this guy? He just started. And I looked at them and I said, yeah, I just started, but I understand the value of cash and I like talking to people and I really like helping people. And that's really what drove me. So I learned the guidelines and the programs and I got more lethal as time went on. But the first 6 months, it was just like building relationships and talking to people and becoming their friend,
I don't want to get you too excited because I know that if I press a couple of hot buttons, we'll go down this like pathways of sales excellence. But even what you were just saying there about how you were talking to them about what they would do with that cash, and then even though you were getting excited with them, effectively what you were doing, you were future pacing them. You were painting them this picture of what this decision will ultimately be able to give them. And I tell people here in this world, because I'm on the real estate, we're trying to like buy your houses at a discount, but now we have this other campaign. I said, over here we take, but this mortgage, to your point, Ace, we get to give. We get to give them access to this locked in, tucked away equity that they're not even being able to utilize to improve their life. So being able to help them take that out and move and improve their life, it's like, it's a fun pitch. It feels good.
Sure. Even for your other business, you're calling people to sell their houses. There's a reason they want to sell. Do they want to downsize? What's the reason? What happens if they downsize? Do they want to go down to Florida? What's the reason? Do they want to upsize? Do they have another kid? So like, there's also, did they lose their job that they can't afford this house? So like, there's stories and emotions in selling your house as well. And yeah, as I tell people all the time, look, it's not about the product or service. It's about what the product or service does for somebody after the fact. What happens after the fact and how does their life look after? So yeah. You are selling, future visions and what happens. But also, like, there's something very important about all this that people need to hear. I actually care and I actually enjoy talking to somebody about that because I'm giving them ideas and I'm learning where their pains and pleasures are. And then, I get pictures after 90 days. Me and my grandkids at Disneyland. She didn't see her grandkids for 3 years till she talked to me. And now she got them all at Disneyland. That's because of me. Like, that kind of shit touches me. And I'm like, all right, I'm not just selling numbers. I'm not just a salesman. I'm changing lives. And like that's what gives me the purpose, and the purpose keeps you going. So you could be, just a garbage man, or you could be, someone that's saving humanity, it depends how you look at your craft. So
I know you did this good sprint with Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage, and I don't know if you recall them, but that company is known of having like 19 guiding principles, or what they call isms. Do you remember them ever talking about the isms?
Oh, I memorized the isms, man.
Exactly. All right. So some of them I've come across. There's like 2 or 3 that really stuck out. One of them was like number 8, every client, every time, no excuse, no exceptions, no excuses.
Oh
What
yeah.
does that mean to you? Every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses.
That means that it doesn't matter how you feel, right? The clients are going to be taken care of with the utmost respect. The clients are always right. And every client must be treated the same, meaning if it's a Monday morning or Sunday night, you better be talking to that client the same exact way. And that was good. You know, they have a policy there. It's called the NRCC. It's scary if someone listening knows Rocket. It's a non-return client complaint, and you get fired for not calling somebody back in 24 hours. That shit is legit. And guess what? People could hate on it all they want, but when people leave Rocket Mortgage, they know how to follow up with people because they knew if they didn't follow up with people, they wouldn't have a job. So, like, the 24-hour follow up rule was genius, right? And people got scared of it, but you're only scared of it if you're unorganized, you know? That should teach you how to be organized and stay on top of your business. So, yeah, every client must be taken care of. That's what it meant.
I love that you said that, because the other one that really stuck out to me out of the 19, the 2 that were like my North Stars was like responding with a sense of urgency is the ante to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. To get in this game, that's what you have to respond. Urgency. What did it mean to you?
It means to me that when I was a nobody there and I just started, I would email Dan Gilbert, the founder, the billionaire, right? And he would email me back within minutes. You want to talk about responding with a sense of urgency? You got the founder of the company sending me a reply back, getting me on a meeting within minutes when he has thousands and thousands of people. I mean, they lead from the front over there. So yeah, responding with a sense of urgency. They don't even run a meeting unless you have house commitments. You got to have an agenda for the meeting, takeaways for the meeting. Every second counts. Responding with urgency is super important. And the reason for that is because you find in a lot of these companies, even in the mortgage world, I got 18 emails about one client's closing that could have been handled in one phone call. Like, why are we, you know what I mean? So it's like, and then it takes days and days to get something done. So, like, yeah, they're all about urgency, because when you fix things quickly and you move quickly, um, you could get a lot more done, right?
God, I love it. It's what I love is the visceral reaction to how that flows in your DNA, how much it meant to you back then. And I can tell it's still a part of you today. But the landscape's changed in the mortgage industry from back then when you first started to 2024, 2025. So what would you say are like the fundamental differences from somebody who's outside of the industry? Like, okay, well, you guys are still helping people, but like, how has the industry, the sales pitch changed from then to now?
It really hasn't. I tell people when rates are 2.99, it's the hottest market ever. When rates are 6.99, it's even a hotter market because people need help, right? You see these tariffs, you see inflation, you see the average American struggling around $60,000 a year. We're in August right now. I'm telling my guys and girls this morning, look, school's coming up. I got kids. They need clothes. They need a backpack. They got soccer. They got school pictures. I'm showing them these emails. What does that mean for the average American? I mean, they need money, right? And then what does it mean for everybody that's renting right now? How many people are renting and don't know they could be in a home building their own equity? So, like, look, in the mortgage market, I'm not a fan. Or do I agree with anyone saying it's a hot or cold market? You create the market inside your mind. So I don't think anything's changed. As a matter of fact, you go listen to a call clip of mine. I'll pull it up right now and I'll sound exactly the same 10 years ago. And a call clip today, it'll be almost identical. You know what the difference would be? The introduction would be like, hey, you're calling it a great time, Scott. Rates are as low as 2.99. We definitely want to jump on this and take advantage while we have the opportunity. What are you looking to get done? Listen to a call today. Hey, Scott, it's definitely a hot time to get this done. Rates are around 6% right now, but things are moving rapidly right now. Inflation is up. The recession is here. So we definitely want to lock in some savings and cash out for you. What are you looking to get done? Both intros are the same. They both have urgency. One's with a low rate, one's with a hot rate, but they're both hot markets.
You remind me a lot of my first sales mentor, because he absolutely brainwashed us to hold as a sales philosophy that every single lead can and should buy. In other words, if no matter what they say, they just sat through a 15-minute pitch, they just sat through an hour, they filled out a form. There's no way you're going to get on the phone 5 minutes later and be like, hey, I'm not really interested. Like they took those steps for a reason. If somebody's willing to talk to me, then they should go through my whole thing. And so I literally just dealt with this again today. I was training a new closer, and he's like, hey man, I just got on the phone, and as soon as I started talking, they was like, hey, I'm not interested. So we're going through it. I was like, well, let's just pause there. They just finished a 16-minute conversation with a lead qualifier, telling them all these different things, all these different problem pain points. Something happened. They got spooked. It was something about you, your intro, etc. But everybody needs help. And I that's what I just love. You're not going to let the economic impacts of the nation impact your pitch. Your process is effectively still the same as it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, and keep in mind, there's some people that I'll be like, look, Scott, you're in a pretty good spot, man. I don't think you should touch this mortgage. You have a good one. You got good reserves on the side. Like, look, keep my number. If you got any friends or family, let me know. And they appreciate that. They're like, thank you. Thank you for not trying to sell me. So it's not like, oh, sell everybody, close, close, close. It's like, I know what I have has value. I also know how to dissect someone's situation and see what's going on. I'm a professional, so I could talk to you for 5-10 minutes and know if I have something for you. And for most people, I got something for them, because you can't really say no to cash. You can't really say no to sales training, and you can't really say no to leadership training. So my products and services, I believe, are for everybody.
I want to ask you a question. I think that revolves a lot around, for a guy like you, and you're having to lift people up and they call you the comeback coach. Do you think it's easier to just take a newbie in the space and take them to 100, or take a guy who was at 100 and dropped off and now you got to try to bring him back again? What's your preference?
My preference is a newbie that's willing to give me their work ethic, because I have a newbie here that just won our top closer 2 months out of the year, that used to grow marijuana before he started doing mortgages. And he's brand new to this thing, brand new to sales, and he's crushing it because he's literally here 7 in the morning to 7 at night. He's dissecting everything. He's listening. He's hungry. He wants it. And you find a lot of people that are vets in the game, they're a little washed up. Let's call it what it is, right? Like, I've been doing mortgages for 10 years, but I don't get washed up. I get more excited as the days go on.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that. It's a hard trait to have. So it's harder to teach a trained dog than to teach a new dog.
Yeah. We have a famous quote everybody hears every new class. We have another 14 started on Monday, and part of the intro thing, and I say it and I mean it from the conviction, from the bottom of my soul. The wolf climbing the hill is always hungrier than the wolf at the top. And just letting them know, because for me, I'm in the same in agreement. But here's how I think the average newbie comes in. They come in, they hit the ground running, they start learning the processes, they're excelling, then they learn too much. Then they start cutting corners because they think, well, I know where I can skip that rebuttal, or I can skip this, and they got to drop down. And that's the really pivotal moment. You got to get them. Hey, don't believe in yourself that much. Stick to the process and then sprinkle yourself on. But it tends to be that thing. Like, you come in, you master the ways, then all of a sudden you think you know too much. You take shortcuts. And if you can't get out of that dive, they just crash.
100%, man. And it starts with the small things. One time I was consulting a mortgage company that has about 100 people in it. I was doing sales training, and I dissect it first. So I came in there undercover, and I literally sat down right at the entrance and acted like I was just somebody working in IT or something. And I watched every single person come in. I looked at their face. I looked at how they're dressed. I looked at what they said. I looked at who they talked to. I looked at where they sat. And 80% of them came in with negativity, man. I only seen 7, 8 of them that came in like looking sharp, ready to go straight to the desk, straight to business. Everybody else came in there like it's a fucking high school. So like, even that small thing of like coming in there with a killer mentality, being early, being at your desk, looking good, being sharp, being focused, like that makes all the difference in the world. And maybe a lot of vets don't have that in them anymore, where they're strolling in at 10, 11 a.m. They feel like they got it figured out. Now, instead of treating every lead the same, every client, no exceptions, no excuses, now they're kind of cherry picking. Oh, let me work with this one right here because it seems like an easy one,
Yeah, there's a Biggie saying. It says, just treat every day like you're first, right? It's in one of his songs, and it's that's exactly what it is. The new guys will be a lot more attentive. I have to worry about these kids programming. I'm obviously older than my average median here, and so I just didn't have all these negative influences vying for my time when I was coming up in sales. So I could literally grab a book and not have Instagram or whatever calling me in the morning to check it, TikTok calling me in the morning to check it. And so I was able to really build some good processes about my morning routines. And then I learned that at a young age. How you do one thing is how you do all things. And so that's why when you say some of these things, I'm like, hey, man, like you guys, if you can't listen to a David Goggins YouTube or something on your way into work, if you can't be disciplined enough to at least fill your brain with some good shit before you go in, you're really missing a huge opportunity.
Yeah. Log into the YouTube, man. We got sales videos for days. Listen to one in the morning. You'll take away 5, 6, 7 things from that thing every single day on your way. But yeah, I've been listening to those motivations and podcasts probably every single morning when I work out. That's what I listen to.
Yeah.
Your mind gets primed after a while.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back to something about consumer debt. Until I got into the space, I didn't really appreciate how much debt the average American has. What do most Americans in general not understand about their own debt? For the people out here who aren't maybe sales guys, but they're just watching this, what's the common misconception out there?
The common misconception is that you're paying down your debts. Most of the time, you're not paying down your debts. You look at an American Express credit card. I had somebody that had one with like a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 balance. They're spending $2,000 a month. They have like $80 going to the balance and the rest of it's going to interest. So a lot of times, like you're barely spending any money on the principal. Those credit cards never end, especially when they get close to the maximum. So when they're in the maximum, you're in a dead zone. Another misconception is that a debt consolidation's a good program. Typically, that program just hammers down your credit and completely ruins it, right? Because now you have debt collectors calling, trying to make a deal on your behalf. Everything gets marked bolded on your credit, and it pretty much takes you down. It takes a while to get out of the dumps from it. So the best way to get rid of your credit card debts is definitely, if you have a home, is to consolidate it into the mortgage, which is a good debt, like taking bad cholesterol, making it good cholesterol. You combine it into the mortgage over 360 months, 30 years. That $2,000 American Express payment I was just telling you, it turns into a $200 payment on a mortgage. That's $1,800 savings by consolidating it into the mortgage. So you take the debt consolidation, get rid of those bad debts, put it all in the mortgage, take that extra money you're saving and start investing it elsewhere to start growing your capital.
Do you think that for most people, it's just they don't even appreciate or they're too hesitant to touch the equity in our house? Because we introduce these conversations to people sometimes, and it's like it's the first time that light bulb went off, and they're like, well, yeah, I do have 100,000 in credit card debt, and I am paying this, and I guess I didn't realize I had 400,000 in equity in my house, and why is there that disconnect where people just don't appreciate that they're literally, I can't buy groceries sitting in a house with $300,000 in equity. How?
It's an old school mentality. Pay off the house, be debt free, while struggling every single month to get food in my fridge. It makes no sense, right? It's old school philosophies of like, I'm not touching my mortgage. I have pride. I'm going to pay this thing off. I want to die with no mortgage so I can pass it to my kids. Where in reality, like your kids would much more appreciate you taking them to travel right now, enjoying your life, having some flexibility, so you don't die with no fucking happiness and no life lived, So, and those are the
Yeah.
kind of conversations you got to have with people. But a lot of them also don't understand that they could save money and they think it's a bad thing. So like it takes some educating, writing things down with them and showing them like, hey, like this could actually happen. How would your life change if this happened?
If your team is calling, banging on the phone today, typically you call in people who are in distress situations for the most part. Is that correct, Ace?
Yeah. So, I mean, we do a lot of lead buys, right? Other than
Okay.
realtor referrals and like, our relationships we have with different companies, most of our business comes from lead buys. And if you think about a lead buy, it's somebody that's clicking on an ad to lower their bills or someone that's clicking on an
Sure.
ad to cash out. So yeah, typically it's somebody that's in need of cash or a consolidation, or money for some reason. And a lot of those people are in distress.
Yeah. What I always try to help people understand is they're like, hey man, I've had to call them and they're not answering. Like, buddy, they're ducking a lot of problems in their life right now. They can't really delineate you're that one person out of 10 people today that's not calling to harass them or threaten them, et cetera, et cetera. So is that a misconception a lot of people in this industry, at least on your side, also have, like how many licks it takes to actually get somebody to pick up the phone?
I think the first impression is super important. So for us, like I don't buy leads that we just have to dial. I buy leads that opt into texting because I think the texting and the email is important. So
Amen.
they're getting a brand, they're getting a photo, they're getting a story about us and why we're reaching out. And it's more of a personal touch to them. And then, yeah, it's like we hammer them until we get them on the phone morning, afternoon, evening. And even if we get them on the phone and they're upset, we tell them, like, hey, if you're upset, this is your last call, but just hear me out. Listen to why I'm calling you. And if you still think it doesn't make sense for us to move forward, then, I'll take you off the list or opt you out. But at the end of the day, you're probably frustrated because you're getting a ton of calls. Here's why this call is different. Here's why I'm different. Hear me out.
You have a super popular, and I think for anybody in the industry, everybody that calls me asking for leads in mortgage space, I'd be like, yeah, my buddy Ace, and everybody knows of you. And so everybody knows of Ace's Academy and the sales training aspect of it. And so I want to go a little bit into that sales training aspect of this platform. Is some of it mentality, strategies, and then scripting? What do people find inside of this sales academy? And can you drop some bombs on us?
Yeah, so inside the Sales Academy, you actually get a bundle in a box that comes with a 10 keys of sales book, 10 keys of sales planner, and a sales playbook. So you're getting a playbook with every script from branding to follow-up plays to presentation templates and how you can present deals in different ways to objection. So you get the playbook with the scripts. Then you get a 90-day planner that starts with your routine, your rituals, your time blocking, and it's like a sales manager in the palm of your hand. And then you get to 10 keys of sales, which breaks down the philosophies and order of sales from mindset to introduction to branding, to follow up to objections to presentations to prospecting to referrals to post follow up, all the 10 keys of sales. And then on top of all that, so you have the books, the 3 different books. Then you get the virtual training where you get to go in there, you get to see me do it. There's live call clips that you could listen to. There's little activities that you could do. So it's like a master class for sales to get your master's degree in this thing. And then there's weekly calls every single week on Wednesday where I bring the community together. We talk about different topics and you could ask questions. So that's what you're getting in the Sales Academy. And we update it every single month with new stuff. Same thing for leadership, same thing for mortgages. You get the same books, just with mortgage stuff or leadership stuff. You get the training and you get the weekly calls for those. So we're running 3 separate academies right now, one for mortgages, one for leadership, and one for sales.
I think that anybody watching needs to understand that these live calls that you do are hyper interactive. There's so much engagement in these. This is not like, hey, you guys sit over there and watch this pre-recorded video type thing. No, I think that you're probably one of the best that I've ever seen at being aggressive with role playing and getting the marbles out and practicing it. So, hey, how'd you stumble upon that? Because there's a lot of sales organizations out there that they don't really role play. And then how important is it to you, everybody's in takers, everybody in your community, to actually role play this stuff?
I think it's super important. And the reason why I try to role play and call people up in the weekly calls is because I was in a coaching group before with like Ed Milet and Andy Frisilla. And I felt like I would ask a question every week. Nobody ever got to it. I kind of lost motivation. I'm like, what they're talking about, I already know. I had another question, so it wasn't being applied to me. So I said, if I ever do these weekly calls, I'm going to make sure that my people pick the agenda. My people pick the questions and they lead the way. So every single week I'll have, hundreds of people on this thing, sometimes even thousands. And then when I go ask some questions, I'll only get 50 or 60 questions. And I'm like, I got 1,000 people. So my first thing to salespeople is you got to want to role play. If you're not good at something, you got to expose yourself and put it out there. My guess is a lot of people listening don't want me to call them up on stage. They don't want people to see their name. They don't want their team to make fun of them because they're in a weekly call trying to get coaching. So I think it's like the negative persona of that. For me, like I would be talking to myself in the car on the way to Quicken Loans. Like, I'm not interested. I'm just talking to myself on the way and just repping this stuff out. Whenever we got a presentation, if it's a new guy, we usually pitch for them in the beginning and help them. But after that, it's like, all right, before you call, I'm not going to pitch for you this time. You pitch it to me. He pitches it to me. That sounded great. I don't even have to listen to this. Go pitch it to the client. So yeah, we role play presentations all the time right before we do it, because look, you can't argue that doing additional reps is going to hurt you in any way,
Yep.
regardless of what you're doing.
I think for me, when I took on sales, I opted not to go into college. I stumbled on it at 20 years old, but like high ticket sales, turning 21. And then I just looked at it as like a true professional sport, because I saw guys around me making more than kind of the entry level NFL and players. But I also saw the one guy who was making ridiculous amount, like real NFL, NBA type money at that stage. And I said, okay, this is a true sport. And there's nobody in the NFL, NBA, no matter what, NHL, doesn't matter, who's not actually playing back the previous game, who's not actually studying and reviewing. And so I think there's that mentality out there where guys that it's like, yo, I'm going to treat it as a sport. I'm going to actually watch it and practice over and over again. And some people don't like that. They're really anxious about being on that hot seat and then having somebody kind of call them out. For you, I was going through some of your sales training, and one thing we're definitely in alignment with is like planting the seed, this planting the seed method throughout your consultation. Can you expand on that? Like, what is planting the seed for you guys?
So we use planting the seed in different ways, right? Like there's planting the urgency seed, which is like, it's a very time to get this done. The world's in a crazy place right now. Rates are moving, inflation, recession. That's like planting a seed, letting somebody know like, hey, it's not a time to wait, right? There's also like planting seeds to get rid of objections, like if somebody has a spousal objection, you could plant 3-4 seeds about the spouse before getting to the end, like 5 minutes down the line, I'll say, yeah, and your wife, Scott, she's all on board with consolidating these debts. She'd be pretty happy, right? Yeah. And later on in the call, I'm like, oh, and your wife, we're gonna need her pay stubs and W-2s as well. You know where those are, right? Yep. All right, good. Then at the very end, it's like, hey, what time does she get home? All right, perfect. We're gonna have her sign too. Yep. All right, yeah. Well, if I planted 3-4 seeds about like your spouse not having an issue with this, I shouldn't get a spousal objection at the end. So there's also like planting seeds to eliminate objections. There's planting seeds. It's pretty much like planting the subconscious, right? Whatever you want to happen on that call, you got to plant 3 or 4 seeds about it. If you want to get emotional benefits on a call and build a good relationship, you better have 4 parts of that call where you're planting those emotional seeds. So it's about like focusing on what you focus on what you find, and you find what you focus on, So it's like whatever you want to happen, plant seeds throughout your conversation to get it to happen, because you plant enough seeds, it'll grow.
I had a sales mentor, reminds me a lot of you and your philosophy here, but he was like, it's hard for me, Scott, to teach you rebuttals to objections, because you really only have that if you've screwed up throughout the process. He said, what I want you to do is I want you to own those objections throughout. And it's kind of like planting the seed. It's like if I'm planting the seed or owning the spousal objection throughout, I'm not going to get it at the end. So if I know I'm going to get, you can't offer enough, or the rates are too high, or my spouse this, my presentation, and correct me if I'm wrong, should be dedicated throughout to covering those, so it doesn't even appear at the end, and we've isolated and trial closed throughout, right?
Yeah, like some salespeople tell me like, man, how do you get documents back? Like I can never get docs back. I have great conversations and then I never get documents. I'm like, how many seeds are you planting about documentation? And then I teach them how to start mentioning documentation throughout the conversation 3 or 4 times. And by the end of it, now you're getting documents because you focus on getting documents throughout the conversation.
I love it. You're really good and systemized. You have something called the ARP method, acknowledge, respond, right? And
Yeah,
then, or
that was
confirm.
something like, yeah, that was something from Quicken Loans. Quicken Loans had the ARP. They had the acknowledge, respond, and pivot, right?
And yours is ARC.
So mine's is acknowledge, respond. I added respond with value because people just give generic responses. I think your response has to be directly to what they said. So every response is different. So acknowledge, respond with value, and then pivot and take control.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And then if
Cool.
you're at the end, of the conversation, it's, acknowledge, respond with value, and then close. So if you're in the beginning, you pivot it away. And then if you're at the end, you just close again.
And so just for everybody out there, he's talking about when you get an objection, I completely understand. So you're acknowledging, right? And then you're going to respond with value, being able to fill in something that's going to provide them an increase. and then you'll be able to move into the close. So it's just simple. It's like, that's what I see about a lot of your coaching. It's a system that you can stick to, you can follow through, you can fall back on throughout the process. I want to ask you a couple of quick questions before we go. What do you think is the one thing most mortgage brokers aren't doing in their pitches where you're like, I'm gonna find it?
They're not getting real benefits. They're going over numbers and savings, and they're not figuring out what the client's going to do with those savings or why those savings are important. They're wondering why their client's not excited about $200 a month because they don't know what the $200 a month does for somebody in their life. So I think there's no real emotional benefits in their sales, and they're just pitching numbers.
Is that because they don't discover the pain?
Yeah, they're not discovering pain, nor do they want to, or they might think it's uncomfortable and they just want to play a numbers game instead. Where for me, you could take the average mortgage banker will take 10 leads and maybe get one, and they're getting that one because they're lucky and a monkey would have got that one. For me, I would rather take 3 leads and write 2, you know? So I'm going deep in every conversation. A lot of them are not going deep at all.
When you have an average loan officer today, what do you think is your kind of different in your objection handling scripting versus them? Just like the average guy, the run of the mill at the industry?
I think I'm very specific and tactful. So like when somebody gives me an objection, I'm already thinking 7 steps ahead, right? I already know the 2 or 3 things they could say back to my response to their objection, and what I'm gonna say. Like I'm always thinking 7 moves ahead. So I'm playing the game a lot farther. I think they're playing checkers, I'm playing chess.
Hmm. I think a lot of that also too is your neurological programming. You can't be hungover and playing chess on a call. You can't be having a half-ass, drag-ass mentality and be on the phone. You can't constantly be sitting down throughout the entire day and being 7 steps ahead. I see that a lot.
Oh, for sure. You got to be focused. Like I'm looking at my floor right now. Like I have one guy standing up and selling. I have another guy that's kind of leaning in his chair. Like you could tell, right? Like if I'm like this and I'm like,
100%.
yeah, what are you trying to get done today, man? Like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But if I'm like this and I'm like listening and I'm ready for every single word, like I'm active, right? I'm activated. All my senses are activated. And all that matters, it's tunnel vision. It's me in that phone call. And every word you say is being programmed and dissected in my head for what it actually means and what comes after it. So it takes that deep level of focus and flow state, and people lose that flow state and they think they could just sell and do 5 things at once and multitask and be texting their phone and scrolling through TikTok and checking the email at the same time. Like, no, you need that tunnel vision focus if you want to win.
This may be a tough question for you, but I'd love for you to really consider it. Is there a sales belief that you've always held that you've completely abandoned within the past, 12 months, 2 years?
Yeah, possibly. There's one where I said I made a beautiful email back in like probably 2015. Every client I talked to got this beautiful email. And it was one where it forced me to put like the pains and pleasures. Like, for example, if like I talked to a lady, she always wanted to go to Peru to see her son who's a veteran. I put a picture of Peru in there
Mm.
and, Expedia of how much a ticket costs to go there. Like just doing something extra, like unreasonable hospitality, right? So like just doing something additional that I don't get paid for, that I'm not supposed to even be digging myself into, and doing something unreasonable in every single one. And I think the reason why I don't do it anymore is because right now, if I'm selling just to show off. I'm not selling full time. So I'm doing a lot of different things right now and leading these businesses. So maybe now if I talk to a client, I pitch them the numbers. I don't send that email every single time because I got 1,000 things going on, but it's something I deeply believe in. Having that custom touch with a bow on it right after you talk to somebody, sending them a heartfelt email, letting them know you listen, is something I believed in and I still do today.
One of the things that I appreciate that I've learned about your industry, it's a very snaky industry that evidently when somebody's applying for help, that it
Mhm.
comes up on some type of public board and then your competitors get to see what's going on. Can you walk me through that very quickly, how that happens?
Yeah, so the cheapest lead you could buy in the mortgage industry is a credit trigger. Now, the administration is lobbying against that, so those things might be getting more strict and might be going away next year. So that might stop or lessen. But right now, when somebody gets their credit pulled, you might be unaware, but your information gets sold right away. And because these leads are so cheap, you're talking anywhere from 10 to 25 cents a lead. You got these companies that are starting up and they're just buying credit triggers. So they're buying people data for people that pulled their credit for financing. And there's so many of them doing this, that my clients send me a screenshot of 48 missed calls within 3 hours. So as soon as I pull somebody's credit, all these credit trigger companies that are buying these things are just blowing them up all day long. They're not allowed to text them, but they're texting them. They're calling them. Most of them are not licensed or younger kids that are just working at these different places. So it just turned into an absolute zoo. So, and the funny thing is, I train some of those companies too, and I teach them how to even do that kind of sale, which is a lot tougher because that one's a lot quicker, right? Because they're getting bombarded all day long.
But that's why your email, and that's why that going beyond what's reasonable, that unreasonable hospitality matters. Because when they do get bombarded by somebody else who claims that they're better, but they treat them just like a normal client, you stand heads and shoulders above them.
100%. When you go above and beyond for somebody, they're gonna be like, I'm not leaving Scott. Like, no, I like Scott. Like, I don't care what you're gonna offer me. You're gonna offer me better. I'm good. I'll talk to Scott about it because they like you and what you talked about. But vice versa, if you're just having a regular conversation pitching numbers and somebody comes on and pitches better numbers, you're fucked, right? So,
yep. I want to end talking about AI, Ace. Tell me how it's impacting the industry, and most importantly, how it's impacting your sales training and kind of where you see things with sales and AI over the next number of months and years.
Yeah, so right now we're in the test phase right now with our virtual training academy, where we have an AI prompter that shows up after the objection training, and your camera has to come on, and you have to practice the objection with AI and follow the same exact formula. So right now we're testing AI people on webcams to test the salespeople as they go, so they could get repetitions. Because maybe you don't want to call your friend or ask somebody to rep it out with you. We'll have an AI person repping it out with you. So that's how I'm using it inside of our training academy. As far as in my personal life and in sales, I think you got to be a good operator of AI. Like, I use AI all the time, but I use it more as a companion. I don't use it to do something for me. So, for example, I got a great message I want to send my clients today, but I know my CRM allows 150 characters or less. So I'm like, how do I get this big ass message to be 150 characters and keep the main things in it? Boom, it gives me it. I'm like, all right, now could you make this an email for me? Boom, makes it for me. Now, could you make this a voicemail for me? Boom, gives it for me. That voicemail sounds a little AI body. Could you make it sound more like me? Boom, gives it to me. Right. So, like, that's how I'm using it. I'm using it to just sharpen my tools and just make me a little quicker. At the end of the day, it's still me before AI. I'm giving it the idea, I'm telling it how to say it. And that's what I mean by you got to be a smooth operator. There's other people like, I wish I had this here, but oh, here it is. You're going to laugh at this one. Like one of my guys, I said, send me a weekly plan. They gave me this. I'm like, come on. I'm like, this is not a smooth operator. This is somebody that said, give me a weekly plan in AI and fucking gave me this.
Yeah.
Like, first off, at least pull out the emojis, if you got all these emojis with AI. But anyways, people are using it to plagiarize and do the thinking for them. And that's when you're wrong. It's not going to do the thinking for you. It's like you put in your weekly plan line by line. Then you tell it, hey, could you craft this and make it nice for me? Hey, as a matter of fact, could you add more time blocks for me? And you got to go back and forth, perfect it, and then use the final copy. But a lot of people are wrong when they're using the first copy and not programming it and having a real conversation to get what they want. So that's why I say AI is not going to replace jobs. AI could actually help you get a job and get more money if you're a smooth operator.
I'm going to make an AI prediction hidden at the end of this, right? Everybody who makes it to 48 minutes, but I'll be held on it. I think sales is going to see a compression from both sides, Ace, from AI. I think the entry level, like opening, basic qualification, will ultimately be handled by some type of voice bot. Just that entry.
We have it, so I've tested it out, and what I'll tell you is it's not working. People are hanging up. So
no,
maybe
we're heading there.
Over time, maybe you're right, and we'll transition to that.
100%. And the lighter the job, which is better, which is, are you Ace? Are you interested? Awesome. Let me transfer you. Okay, cool. Like an opener. But from the compression on the top down, what I've already seen, and one of the reasons why we're going to an open source dialer platform, because I can't afford it in a closed loop. But one of the things that we're seeing now is on-screen live assistance. So as the customer gives you their objection, it is live feeding you the rebuttals. As they're saying their bullet points, it's live aggregating those. And the reason why I say compression is because in theory, over time, that's something that the aces of the world only could do. And then we can afford to pay the Bobs of the world with the aces analytics over here. So I really do see this world where AI takes an average rep when it is live and feeds them the words to say within 12 to 18 months. That will be the reason why some guys who couldn't close deals now close deals, but more importantly, why CEOs can pay less for closers, because in fact, they can hire a mediocre guy and give him an A+ word track live on the screen.
100%. I think that's, I could see that happening. And as a matter of fact, I've seen what Rocket Mortgage is building, and they're building a lot of stuff just like that. Call reviews, pop-ups, you know.
And they got the money. It's Wall Street.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I always said that, you know, I want to get with a programmer and a developer, and I want to make a sales game where when you're on a phone, you're just gamifying it. Boom, 10 points, great introduction. Objection, slash, 15 points. And it gives you like a final score at the end, or vice versa, like no emotions, no benefits. This was a dry call. Loser, you know? So like
gamifying is everything. Just think about what's that? Duolingo. Anybody who uses Duolingo, they've gamified that app so well. So, dude, I want to just say, from a guy who's known you in the industry, I'm very, very thankful for the impact that you have on this space. I love watching you and your enthusiasm for training others. When I train my guys, we were literally talking about role playing today, and I mentioned you. And so I think it's one of those things. I just want to give you your flowers while I have the opportunity. I think you're one of the best in the vertical. I think that what you do at Aces Academy, anybody can find value in. So how do they find it for themselves? Your academy, man, where do they go?
Yeah, acesacademy.com, Aces with a Z. You can follow me on Instagram, The Aces Academy, YouTube, TikTok, and everything else is just Aces Academy. When you go to acesacademy.com, go to the menu. There's mortgages, there's leadership, and there's sales. There's even takers brokerage. If you need to get a job and work in the mortgage industry and you're hungry, we might even accept you over here. There's a free community in there too. If the price tag's too high, come in the free community. You come out to a couple free calls, see what we're about, and join us, man. Our goal is to make you more money, and every single person in the academy hasn't canceled. They all love it, and they've been there ever since. So we'll double your numbers, triple your numbers, if you execute on the philosophies inside. So it's waiting for you.
Boom. I love it, brother. Thank you for coming on and sharing some of your insights.
For sure, man. Thank you.
All right. Catch up with you soon.
All right. You got it.
Ciao, brother.